The NFL Combine is over, which means more mock drafts for all of us. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing a live mock draft for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, what do I mean by live? We will be role playing as the front office for the Seattle Seahawks during this mock draft simulator and going through all of their selections. So, while we're doing that, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts on our picks and what you want to see the Seahawks do for each selection. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and tackle that bell to get notified when videos come out. So the Seahawks are picking 18th overall. Ryan, scroll up just a little bit. Let's see who else was taken before them. So starting there, Malachi Starks going to the Dolphins and James Pierce Jr. going to the Colts. Walter Nolan going to the Falcons. Kenneth Grant going to the Cardinals. Will Johnson falling all the way down to the Bengals. So Seahawks here on the board. It's similar to, I think, a lot of teams. It's going to be perfect, I think, for this kind of draft for what the Seahawks are needing, but a lot of needs in the trenches just overall. Um, really, I think a lot of different ways they can go. Like I think Kelvin Banks, if they want to kick him in the guard, I think that would be interesting. Derek Harmon, I think on both sides of the ball would be interesting as well. Typically, I think with the type of defense that they are running with that 3-4, maybe a little bit more of like a smaller outside edge rusher. So I think that's where I
Mhm.
think I would lean towards Michael Williams over maybe Shamar Stewart or Nick Scorton. Jayla Walker, I think, would be interesting. What are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like they could go offensive line, Kelvin Banks, Armand Mimbu. I think both those guys can play tackle or guard at the next level. I do think Tyler Lockett being released most likely it will lead to maybe Matthew Golden or another wide receiver being talked about at this spot as well. I do think maybe we'll wait and address that spot a little bit later. They do have a
Yeah.
plethora of day 3 picks. So yeah, I think there's a good bit of options here for them. I do like maybe going with like a Michael Williams. I think that would be a really good edge rusher for them to go after. I think just his toolsy freakiness, I think, is something that Mike McDonald uh, would like, and I think that he would fit in well in that system.
Okay. Let's do that.
All right,
I like that. Yeah,
sounds
that's
good.
what with if it in that scenario, I just don't see the Seahawks kind of making a wrong pick. I feel like I'd be pretty
Yeah,
satisfied with the majority of those picks here. So now that they've fallen here, they got Princely Umar in there. Tyler Booker is falling there. That's a very popular spot. If he falls to 50, that'd be tough to pass
yeah.
up, especially to all things considering with the Seahawks interior offensive lineman. Let's put a pin in that one here. David Restrepo's a no, just because they got Jackson Smith and Jigba. Um, that'd be
Elijah
too
Roy
much
would
of a
be interesting. It's more than likely they're going to move on from Noah Fant. Uh,
Actually, I
and
think they
so
already have. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure they already have.
we did in our video. So, um, yeah, Tyler Booker is really appealing. Um, yeah, Donovan Jackson is another guy that's appealing as well. Um, honestly, I think Tyler Booker's the pick if he's available.
I like Tyler Booker. And my
Okay.
apologies. I don't think Noah Fant has been cut yet, but he has been rumored to.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So Tyler Booker, I think, is the pick there for the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, I still think too. Maybe we'll go with like a Jared Wilson, or maybe we'll go with like a Jake Majors or something, and on that like 173, 186 pick. Um, I don't know if you are interested in maybe going tight end here. Terrence Ferguson is available.
I
They
like
do
that.
need
Yeah.
linebackers, so Chris Paul would be, I think, a good complement to Ernest Jones
Well,
as well.
so my one thing with that with linebacker is ever since that trade with Ernest Jones last year, like that linebacker room and the defense really picked up. So I think as long as they re-sign them, could they get depth? Yes, but
Okay.
to use a third round pick though on a linebacker, that might be that might not be something that they do. I could see that
Okay.
maybe being like a round 5 type selection. But
Okay.
here, I am thinking potential receiver spot. And to be honest, I wouldn't hate double dipping at the interior offensive line. You really got to figure this out
Mhm.
because
Wyatt
they're
Milam
waste.
would be a great center, honestly.
I think White Milan would be good as well. Can he play center? I guess
Yeah, he can. So he played all over the place when he was so he was a 4-year starter. He played right tackle and then 3 years at left tackle.
okay.
But he's gonna kick inside to guard at the very least, but he's just a very smart, athletic football player, and so his biggest thing is just learning cadences and learning how to snap. So that will be a bit of a learning curve. But like I think he could definitely do it.
My thing, if you're the Seahawks, I think you're trying to be in a win now spot as well.
Okay.
And so they do have Oluwatimi, uh,
Yeah.
and so they drafted him in the 5th round in 2023. So you could bring in some competition. Actually, you know what? I do like that of getting Wyatt Milam here. They have very young interior offensive line. I mean, Laken Tomlin's a free agent, but then everybody else is either 2023 or younger from when it comes to their draft, when it comes to the
Okay.
interior guys they have on their offensive line. So maybe some of those guys can develop, but I think Wyatt Milam, it's what you're talking about, just has that different skill sets. I think that could put him
Mhm.
over the top. And to your point, though, too, if they do sit him, but like develop him as a center, I think that could be good. We are double dipping in the guard spot, but I just think it goes to show how much they really need it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like that. And then also too, like I think we can continue to uh look I we can continue to look at like tight ends or other receivers later on in the draft. It doesn't look like they have a 4th round pick right now. If they do, it's a compensatory pick, it looks like. So it's very late. I do think this could be a wide receiver or like a Mitchell Evans spot, get maybe more of a like a true traditional inline tight end. I think AJ Barner was their rookie tight end that they had. He had a pretty good rookie season there as well. That would be a decent compliment. Anybody else kind of catching your eye?
Now, we could go into your offensive line again. No, I'm just joking. And so that
Oh,
could be
you there?
one. Oh yeah,
Oh.
can you hear me? Hello,
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
hear me?
You just cut out for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, so I believe. Let's see here. I think secondary they're pretty solid. I think you can get some more defensive interior guys here just to keep building that area up. I know they got Byron Murphy last year. Leonard Williams is a stud, and then they even to Jaron Reed is a free agent. He had a great year. Not Jaron Reed. No, yeah, Jaron Reed. Where's he at? They don't have him as a starter here on PFF. Uh, so maybe I'm sure they want to re-sign him, but even at the same point though, too, you're going to have to prepare for life after him as well because he's going to be 33, 34. And so some of these guys that you're looking at here are going to
Yeah.
definitely still be available. So you could go do. Have we done edge rusher yet? That was our first pick, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did
Michael
Michael
Williams,
Williams.
and so we've done the trenches all the way through.
Let's look at defensive interior. Simeon Barrow would be interesting. I think he's a slightly undersized guy, but he could be useful in as like a kind of a 5 tech,
W-
4-5 tech.
Well, my only thing is now Byron Murphy's a little bit more. He's got a little bit more meat on him at
Yeah,
308. Roy Robinson Harris, that would be a similar. Actually, Roy Robinson Harris is 6'1", is 6'5", 290. How big is Simeon Barrow?
6'5", 290. 6'3", 290. But
6'3", 290.
yeah,
We can do that. Yeah, let's do
we
that
could look
because I
Tim
think
Sm Okay,
Robson Harris is 32, and I think he's coming up on a contract year as well. So maybe this could be a guy that could slowly move on from over the
okay,
next couple of years as well. And even Leonard Williams too. He is 30. Is we have the same? I don't know. Someone else we have the
okay,
same birthday. But so I think just like developing some youth in that defensive interior spot would be good.
okay. I do wanna look at, maybe a skill position spot here. I think Chamari DK might be a Tyler Lockett replacement. Um Antoine Wells, maybe. I think that's a little overlap with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Ricky White could be interesting as well. Ty Felton is just not going to be here at this point.
Yeah,
Like, so,
PFF needs to update that. Unless
yeah.
we please send us an email and let us know what we're missing for Ty Felton being at 208 if that
Yeah.
is accurate.
Um, Dante Thornton Jr. would be interesting. What was he? Uh, s- he wasn't quite, he was like 6'4", 205 at the combine. But he ran a 4.37.
Yeah, but these are guys though I think that they can go and get a little bit later.
Okay.
Um, I
Uh, Chamari DK would be one I would be willing to take now, but
yeah, let's do that.
okay.
Let's do DK because also too, I'm sure Tyler Lockett's going to be gone. But then outside of that, then too, they have a seventh round pick from 2022, uh, Darike Young. Then they do have Jake Bobo, and so maybe he'll get a couple more
Yeah.
reps. But they don't really have anybody else in that receiving
They,
room.
they don't have I mean, I guess DK Metcalf is a burner, but uh
Well, he's your number one. He's your do it
yeah.
all type
Yeah.
guy. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba is definitely that underneath slot guy that
Mhm.
can create his own
Uh,
separation with ease.
all right. Hear me out. We haven't done this guy yet, but he's an Indiana Hoosier. They need a developmental quarterback because Geno Smith is 35. They don't have Drew Lock behind him anymore. He was spent the last year in New York. I guess they have Sam Howell that is there behind Geno. I don't think it would hurt to get Curtis Rourke and see if there's something there.
Yeah, I can see you take a flyer on it. My thing with the argument though is of a developmental quarterback is you have Sam Howell. Like I
Yeah,
think
you do
he's
have
your
Sam Howell.
developmental. I think he's your uh, developmental quarterback. So
Okay.
I love to take Curtis Rourke,
If he's there
but
at 212, we'll think
I
about it.
I if you follow this channel a lot, you know how much I love CJ West. I think he's going to be a potential round two pick. And so if I talk that loudly about how great I think he is, I also need to talk how loudly I think Curtis Rourke is not an NFL quarterback. He might get drafted in the sixth or seventh round, but he I think was a product of a great system and a perfect storm. I think. And now, props to him though for supposedly playing this entire season on a torn ACL, which is wild to think about, and then still having the numbers of production that he had. I think he's very accurate, but he doesn't have the arm, the NFL arm. And so
Yeah, not quite.
I think if you're going to take a developmental quarterback, I think go get a Kyle McCord, go get a Jackson Dart. At least those guys, and maybe I'm wrong or missing it, or so we'll love to hear this, but at least they have the arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they have
they
an
have the
NFL
physical
caliber.
tools.
Yeah. So Curtis Rourke, as accurate as he is just not. He's doesn't have the arm strength that I've seen yet. So, but we'll have
Yeah,
to kind of. I'd love to see him do well. Like I'd love to see him do
yeah.
extremely well.
All right. Well, if we're not taking Curtis Rourke, who do you feel would
So
be
we've taken
a good fit?
DK as well. This could be a spot. So we haven't really touched on the secondary. This could be an area where we maybe get a little bit of depth. I really like their secondary. I'm just trying to look at it, but Josh Jobe is a restricted free agent. It looks like. Then
Jason
also,
Marshall would be interesting here.
okay,
It's more of an outside guy, but I think
yeah,
you have Witherspoon kind of mirror guys. You have Tariq Woolen, who is a really solid player in
yeah,
his own way, in his own right.
they could. Uh, on our lads as their depth chart as of right now, they had Devin Witherspoon as the nickel corner, so they could maybe try and find a guy that could become that outside guy.
That would be
Um,
Jason Marshall.
So let's do that because imagine if they
Okay.
could do that. Then they've got Julian Love, they've got uh, uh, Kobe Bryant here. Also, they got a really young secondary with a lot of neat attributes, and
Okay.
so then if they can be like just keep on improving that front seven, this could be one like turn into that old Seattle defense of old.
Okay. No, I like it. I think that's a good fit. You got two Gators back to back there. Um, Next up, Aronde Gadsden, I think would be an interesting Noah Fant replacement as that more like glorified receiver. Because he is only like 236 pounds.
Yeah, let's do
If
that.
you want to go that route.
Yeah, let's go that
And
route.
then uh lastly, I don't know what you're feeling here. I think linebacker would be interesting to potentially try to find if there's a good value there. IU, speaking of Jalen Walker.
Yeah, Mal Munden I think would be a good one. Just get some more depth in there. Kyron
Where
Lacy, put him at
is he up
linebacker.
there?
Yeah, he's right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So,
Up to you. Do you
yeah,
have anything
let's
else
do
that you wanna
Munden.
try?
Now, let's do Munden. Um,
Okay.
I think we ended up rounding out this draft. I was getting a little nervous there for this draft when we were kind of around picks, like at the 4th round, 5th round, because double dipping on the interior. I think they need to do it. But this is what's interesting if you're trying to find needs, trying to find value. This is what's interesting. Like the Falcons, for example, did this where I think we 4 or 5 of our 7 or 8 picks were defensive line. So it does make it vulnerable in some other areas. But for the Seahawks, though, it's I think you go get Tyler Booker, you go get Wyatt Milan. Those are just 2 really
Mhm.
solid offensive linemen that can kick in the guard, and that is exactly what your guys' weaknesses are. So, be very
Mhm.
curious to hear y'all's thoughts on how else we could improve. I think one thing, kind of looking back at it too, then looking at the step chart, is they do need some more receivers just in general, and they can go like it's going to be very heavy DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith, and Jigba in general. So I'm sure they're going to go and get a bunch of free agents. Or bring in a couple guys like you could go get Tyler Boyd for a couple million. You could go get Elijah Moore for a
Yeah.
couple million once you clear up that cap space. So, but the Seahawks, though, if they can get some uh, good guys in the trenches on both sides of the ball, I really like kind of what they're building up in the skill position player room on the outside. It's just the trenches. They got to win in the trenches, and they've struggled with that over the past couple of years.
Yeah, and that's one I think, Geno Smith was one of the more sacked quarterbacks in the league this past season, and so I think doubling up there in rounds 2 and 3 on offensive linemen, I think is, gonna be really maybe to support our case, really important. You could double up and maybe get like a Clay Webb where you got Jason Marshall and then spend a higher pick on a corner, and
Yep.
maybe get, Maxwell Harrison might not be there, but yeah, you get the point. So with
Yeah.
that being said, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of the Seattle Seahawks 7-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And then that we'll see you guys next time.